Hello again, YouTube. I know it's been a while since I recorded, a couple months, and it's a new decade now. And with the new decade starting, hasn't really started off to a great start, I know. But you never know. We probably just hit a rough patch. We might get better later on in the year. I mean, for me personally, this is how 2018 was. It wasn't good at the beginning, but then it became better later on. But all we can do is hope and pray, right? But what I want to talk to you about today is something different. So, I've been on Instagram lately, scrolling through, and I've seen all the new trailers for Disney Plus and everything. And I really need to get this out. I really feel like I should, because this has been burning a hole in my brain since 2014 for 6 years. And well, that's since I was 8. And yeah, maybe I should have made this video when I first heard about it, but thing is that since it was 2014 and I got my channel in 2015, I couldn't have really uploaded it since I had no channel. But I'm going to upload it today. And like all of the subscribers I have, all of them that are still active on YouTube, all of them that still watch my videos, even if you're not a subscriber, even if you're a random person, I urge you to share this video and tell whoever you can about this. So let's just get into it. So 6 years ago, in 2014, I was watching I think it must have been like a Spider-Man cartoon or some sort of Avengers movie. I think I might have been watching the Winter Soldier or Iron Man 2 or one of the Spider-Man cartoons that were on Disney XD all the time. I'm not sure which one, but I was watching this show and I had this idea for a hero called Metal Spider. No, don't get him confused with Iron Spider. He's not the same thing. Metal Spider is the hero I came up with, and I also decided to place him, like, he's been in my imagination. He's been kind of like in my head for like a while now, for like I said, 6 years. And I've kind of imagined him in all the different Spider-Man movies. Like in the first 3 of the Raimi trilogy, he was in there. His suit looked a bit different, but yeah, he was there. He was in the Amazing Duology, so he was there with Andrew Garfield. I don't know who played him back then, because I didn't really start really thinking about it until I started focusing on the MCU. And yeah, like I said, he'd be played by Colin Ford in the MCU. If you don't know him, look him up. He was in Captain Marvel, but I think like Catherine Langford, his part wasn't really in there, but it was more like a deleted scene that only a few people saw and or knew about. And like I'm sick of it being only me who really knows about him. So today I want to tell everyone about him, everyone who will listen to me. So first I'm going to get into his backstory. He's friends with Peter and Ned and everybody like that. He doesn't have powers. He's a lot like imagine War Machine as a spider. No, don't do that. Don't do that. So Spider-Man is basically people were trying to make him into the new Iron Man after Iron Man died in Endgame. But like, think of him as that, and then if Spider-Man's Iron Man, Metal Spider would be War Machine. Think of it as that. So, like I said, Metal Spider, or Lance Davidson, which is his real name, has no powers or anything, but he got the idea to be Metal Spider when one day he was walking home from school and Peter stopped him from being mugged by like some like 2 guys, and then like a few blocks down he saw a bunch of criminals webbed up to a wall, and he was like, what if Spider-Man can't get to the crimes in time? So he decided to become Home Spider at the time. That was his first name. Don't ask me where I got that name from. I don't know where I got the name from. I just came up with the name. Was I was in class and wasn't paying attention, so I was just thinking about something else because what we were learning about in math that day was kind of boring. I normally pay attention to math because I kind of like math, but that what we were doing was just I just didn't I wasn't in it. So he made like a homemade suit, like the kind of suit we saw Peter wear and after Tony took a suit in Homecoming, but it wasn't like that. It wasn't a lot like that. It was kind of less like that and more tracksuitish, if you understand what I mean. And like he went home, made the suit, made his own web formula somehow. But at the time, actually was not a web formula, but it was a like a grappling hook thing that he basically used. It was kind of small. I don't know how I don't know how he made it, but he he was solving crimes, and whenever Spider-Man would get to the crime scenes and he'd see all the criminals knocked out, he'd like, okay, I don't know who did this. I know the police didn't do this. So then, like a week later, or like a couple weeks later, they were swinging toward the same roof, and they met up on the roof, and they got into like this fight, not knowing they were friends, not knowing it was Lance, Peter not knowing it was Lance, and Lance not knowing it was Peter. And right before they knocked each other off, like knocked each other out, they kind of go after their masks instead of like trying to end the fight. They rip each other's masks off, and they realize that they're each other. So they become like the crime-solving duo of New York City. Um, what did Spider-Man say he was from? Queens, yeah, Queens, and like he got this Stark internship with Peter, and in Homecoming he was with Peter during like the fairy thing. Like most of Homecoming he was there. And there are a few parts like at the dance where he wasn't really with Peter, he wasn't there, he didn't go. Um he also when after like Stark took his costume, he also took Lance's for some reason because I think Lance used some of his tech or something. And so he took Lance's suit, but Lance wears something under the suit, unlike Peter. So, um, like they, like he went, Peter went home, but right when Peter knocked on the door, Lance wasn't seen in that scene. So he lived somewhere else in Queens, and like I might have to make a part two of this video now, but as I was saying, the movie ends with him getting his suit back, and like we don't really know he gets his suit back until later on. But in Civil War, I know I'm kind of going backwards now, pardon me for that, but um in Civil War when Peter stole Cap's shield, Lance stole Hawkeye's bow and arrow, which led to kind of like some sort of a hostileness between the two. They didn't really like each other, even though Lance kind of started it by taking Hawkeye's weapon. Um, like they were like, so Lance, I know it was kind of over or outnumbering. I know Iron Man's team kind of outnumbered Cap's team after that, but I didn't want to really switch Lance over to Cap's team because he'd have no reason to do that, except for no way Natasha wasn't on his team at that part. Plus, like he Cap's team had someone he hated on it, so he wouldn't really switch just straight up like that. So yeah, Lance meets Natasha, and he kind of, I don't believe in this personally. Like, to be honest, in real life, I don't really believe in love at first sight. But it was like that when Lance met Natasha, and he had like a crush on her and everything. And like Peter kind of told Lance to stop it, knock it off, that they're teenagers and that he's older than her. But he had like sort of that, you know that crush you had as a kid where maybe like 6 or 7, and there was this celebrity you saw on Disney who was like 19, and you still liked her for some reason, even though it was never gonna work out. Exactly, but that's how it was for him. And like later on, when frick, I actually don't remember Civil War that well. Um, yeah, so so after the fight when Tony went to go check on Peter and said he if you don't tap out he'll call Aunt May. He checked on Lance too and said, "Leave with Peter. I'll call your parents. You're both leaving." And like when Peter tried to get up, Lance just told him just sit down, Peter, just sit down. And he was like, "Okay." And no, Peter didn't say okay. I can't just change the script like that. But Lance told him to just stop, just sit down, and of course that's what Peter did. And then after that came Homecoming, like I said, and I'm sorry, I haven't explained to you what Lance's suit looks like yet. So imagine Tony's suit from Ultron, Iron Man 3, or Civil War, what have you. I prefer Ultron. But imagine that with like a big spider symbol on it with like the legs, like the two front legs of the frick. I know spiders don't have 4 legs, but you know you understand. But imagine the two front legs going over his shoulders, and then the other one's kind of like stopping at his waist area, and then imagine the suit being orange and teal, and like with the mask it's kind of complex, but like the mask kind of is like Iron Man's mask, like it kind of like folds backward. And when you think of this suit, he doesn't really suit up because when I thought about the suit, I was like, okay, so it's armored. It's not like Peter's. It's not like kind of like a onesie kind of. So like think of it as um when Hulk put on the nanotech gauntlet and a motor to fit his hand when it kind of like kind of yeah like like opened itself and then closed itself around Hulk's hand. Like imagine that when he slides it, like when he's about to slide it on, it kind of like unfurls itself, and then when he puts it on, it kind of closes back, and then he kind of like deploys the suit, and like it folds from in itself, like it's a imagine a t-shirt, and then like it folds from like it's a short sleeve t-shirt, and it kind of folds down, and like that's how it kind of goes, and I don't even understand it. I wish I could kind of like explain it, kind of put it on like a screen so you could see how it is, but I do not know how to do that, and I can't do that even if I did know how to do that. Well, I probably could do that, but still, um, just imagine that as orange and teal, and then with the helmet, like it's kind of like yeah, like I said, Iron Man's helmet, and it kind of the top of the headpiece, it kind of comes down to the eyes, like right below the eyes at the bridge of the nose, and then like from behind the neck area, neck and cheek area, like another part comes down and it kind of like closes and molds with the chest of the suit, and then like the eye the eyes activate and everything, and yeah, that's pretty much how his suit's like. And like with the same with the arms and the hands, imagine that with the legs and everything. Just imagine when like it's in its full form, just imagine the Age of Ultron suit. Like it's not hard. But then and Infinity War, Peter and like Lance kind of, when Peter got out of the bus, when he saw that thing coming up out of the water, Lance kind of looked at him and he was like, "Peter, what are you doing?" And he's like, "It's Lance, look out the window." And like Lance kind of saw it and he was like, "Okay, yeah, we have to go." And then he reached into his bag, pulled out his suit, kind of climbed up the bus with Peter, kind of hung on, and then the suit folded on, and Then they both jumped off. I don't remember Infinity War that well. I don't remember that part, but that's what I remember happening. And then they go help um Mr. Stark. Oh my gosh, they go help Tony, who is fighting that thing in the park. And while Peter's kind of holding it back, Lance is kind of dragging Tony from under the thing. And then they both get beamed up to the sky when Lance is trying to kind of grab Peter while also holding onto a light pole so that they can both not get beamed up, basically. And then when they're both in space, they both get new suits. Spider-Man suit Iron Spider, and then Metal Spider just completely changes his name. People still call him Metal Spider though, but his name with that suit is Spider Avenger. Uh, I also came up with that recently, and yeah, like for most of the movie, when the Avengers meet the Guardians, he's kind of like Lance is kind of holding Mantis back, and he's threatening Star Lord. He's like, Star Lord, you shoot my friend. The person in front of me is going away, and he's like, Mr. Stark's also gonna shoot Drax, and he's like, and Star Lord's just like, just continue holding the gun against Peter's head or whatever the frick you want to call that thing that he has, and then he like they let go and they have to reluctantly team up kind of. And yeah, like later on when the when the life gets blipped, Lance show like during the fight when remember how Doctor Strange kept creating those portals and Peter kept bouncing through them, hitting Thanos and then going to the next one. Yeah, well Peter like not Peter frick Lance was doing that same thing. And when Peter gets grabbed by Thanos and choked, Lance tries to get Thanos off of him. And then when he tries to kind of pull Thanos back, Thanos whacks him off of him and sends him flying like a bunch of miles away. And then he doesn't come back until, like I said, I don't remember Infinity War that well, so I might get the times confused. But he doesn't come back until right when Peter's like turns to dust when when he's grabbing one of Mr. Stark and saying, I don't want to go, like that's when he comes back. And he kind of runs over to Peter. He's like, Peter, no. And then he looks down and his best friend's turning to dust. And he looks at Mr. Stark. He's like, Mr. Stark, what happened? What happened? And then he looks over at Star-Lord and he was like, Quill, what did you do? And then, like, of course, Star-Lord's like, oh man. And then he just disappears. And Lance kind of realizes what's happening. Thanos got the snap. And then he tries to radio into War Machine. War Machine doesn't answer. He tries to radio into Falcon. Falcon doesn't answer. He tries to call Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch doesn't answer. So like there's just like a dead line. And so like after that, Lance returns home, like knowing that even if Peter got blipped, his family's still there. Well, guess what? He walks into the house and his family isn't there. And then like he kind of checks the rooms and everything. He sees piles of dust and he's like, "No, not my family too." And he starts crying and he kind of cries himself to sleep for like a few hours. And then Natasha comes to the house and she's like, "We have to go." And Lance looks at her. And then like the movie kind of ends. You don't see that on screen, but it's kind of implied that is what happened. And then in Endgame, uh, Lance kind of comes back and uh like he goes with Natasha reluctantly to get Ronan, aka Hawkeye, aka Clint, who for I don't know what reason he still hates Clint for some reason. I don't know, maybe he's just jealous. And then he just kind of they grab Clint and they go. And then later on when they all have to go to different periods in time to get the stones, uh Peter kind of not Peter, but Lance kind of like when they were explaining what they have to do, like Lance is kind of scared because he doesn't want to lose Natasha as well since that's all he has pretty much. Don't ask me why. Like, of course, Tony couldn't take care of him because he was in space and he wasn't fit to really take care of anyone. Um, with Hawkeye, he hates Hawkeye, of course, like I said multiple times. Cap, I don't know about Cap much. Him and Lance relationship isn't really all there. Like they never really talk. You never really see them converse with each other, except for like this one part in Endgame, but that's it. And then with as I was saying, with what's his name, Hulk. Like Hulk kind of, I don't know where he goes, but he kind of just goes away. And it's all six. Yeah, Black Widow pretty much just took care of him. And Thor, I don't know. Thor was in New Asgard, I think. So, um, it's just like, and then the beginning of Endgame when Thor finally decides to go for the friggin' head, like Thanos told him, he chops Thanos' head off with, like when all the Avengers shows up, when Captain Marvel shoots that beam of light at Thanos, when he kind of gets blasted back and Thanos tries to get up, Lance shoots through the window and just kicks Thanos' head in, and then he bounces off like a table, and then like kind of ropes like a web around Thanos and kind of chokes him, and then while he's holding Thanos there, Thor goes for the head, and Rocket's like, "What did you do?" And Thor and Lance look at each other, and Thor's like, "I went for the head," and then they both walk out of the cabin, and then after that, that part ends, and uh yeah, so like when toward the end of the movie when the Avengers facility gets attacked by Thanos, like Lance, he tries to hold on to the thing, like when like he was in the room with Tony when he was holding the gauntlet, because remember Tony had the gauntlet and then the gauntlet fell with Tony down into the thing or whatever, wherever it was, and Lance is trying to hold on to that piece of floor that's kind of caving through that Tony fell off of, and then like a piece of shrapnel comes down, breaks the web, Lance goes falling, the suit gets partially damaged, and of course this is after Natasha dies, so Lance still wants to kill Hawkeye. And speaking of killing Hawkeye, Lance loses it when he realizes Natasha's dead. Like he literally walks up to Hawkeye and starts choking him, and Hulk has to pull him off. And he's like, "She loves you both," and like it'd break a heart to see you both fighting right now. And Lance is like, when Hulk's about to do the snap, um, Tony's like, any last words just in case it doesn't work. And everyone kind of looks at Lance, and Lance looks at Hawkeye, and she's like, all I know is if this doesn't work and my family doesn't come back, my best friend doesn't come back, I'm coming after you, Clint. And then like the mask comes down so he can show his face from whatever happens. And I think this is all just a 16-year-old trying to be cool, whatever. But yeah. So after that pretty much just happens, And like right before the battle starts, and everybody comes back, Lance grabs a piece of shrapnel and kind of engraves in like the left side of his suit for Natasha, and that's also what he screams when after like when Thor screams, he's like ah, and then like Cap says Avengers Assemble, you can hear like it kind of cuts down like not Thanos, dang it, Lance, and he says basically what I just said for Natasha, and yes, so he's running and everybody's just fighting and everything. And when Peter and Lance come like kind of web their way down to like celebrate their victory with Tony, and they realize that he's dead. When Peter's trying to when Peter kind of realizes that he is dead, like Lance kind of walks up to him, just kind of holds his shoulder. He's like, "It's okay. He did it. We won." And then at the funeral for Tony, he after the funeral ends, right before he leaves with his family, he walks up to Strange and he's like, "So Strange, I'm 21 now. I'm in college. Peter isn't because he got blipped because he lost 5 years of his life." and he's like, "Do you think you can freeze my age so I can stay in high school with Peter, and then when we both turn 21, unfreeze it?" So Doctor Strange works his magic, and Peter kind of, or not Peter, but Lance kind of gets his age back. He becomes 16 again. And I would make a 17 again reference right now, but due to when Peter was born, it just wouldn't work. So due to how long he was lived and when he was born, it wouldn't work, like I said. So he checks his, and like Stephen Strange tells him, check your ID, or not check your ID, but check your driver's license. And he looks at his license. It says 16, and he's like, "Thank you, Mr. Strange." And he leaves with his family, satisfied that he gets to stay in high school with Peter. And then Far From Home happens, and Peter's kind of he's looking forward to just a nice field trip, vacation, wherever the heck you want to call it. And uh Lance kind of, he has the suit he had in Endgame. And after, like when they get the new suit, when they get like the stealth suit and everything, Peter, not Peter, but Lance, like, the that Black Cat Spider-Man suit from the Spider-Man PS4 game. That's what it looks like, only like a bit more bulkier, kind of armored. And when it comes to that, imagine the um the suit, the Iron Man suit from Fruitcake. I'm sorry. From Civil War. Yeah, Civil War. And that's it. And he renames it Black Widower, and of course, memory of Natasha, because he loved her that much. And it makes sense why he did, because that's pretty much all he had for 5 years. He lost his best friend, he lost his family, and that's pretty much all he had. It was just her and him, or him and her, whatever. And yeah. And speaking of which, right before Hulk does the snap, like, Lance shoots off like a final text to Natasha, basically saying that he misses her and they're about to pull off the snap and hopefully bring everybody back. And he kind of reminisces over like the last 5 years and everything, and he says he's sorry he couldn't save her the way like she saved him from being like becoming what Hawkeye was, basically, because he was on the verge of becoming that. And you can kind of tell by the way he acted. And yeah, after that, like I said, back to Far From Home. Um, During the illusion scene, like, he's there with Peter through most of them, except for when Peter's in that snow globe thing. And then, like, in like this Disney Plus thing, they kind of tell everybody what Lance saw. And he saw, of course, I'm getting sick of this, he had some sort of obsession, but he saw Natasha die, but this time Clint pushed her. And instead of it being her that jumped herself. And he kind of, remember how in Iron Man 3 when Tony woke up from flying his suit to sleep, and he goes through the woods and everything, goes just kind of falling through the woods. That's what happened to Lance. Like, he woke up kind of because he had gotten knocked out by getting, I don't know, but yeah, he got he kind of woke up from like swinging from a web, and then he kind of flung himself, and he woke up. He was like, ah, and then he goes like skipping through the ice. The suit gets all scratched up and everything, and he he goes flying off the cliff that Natasha jumped off of, and luckily the little web saver things that he has in the kind of has in the back of his suit kind of saved him. Web savers are like the little bungee cords where only they're webs, and it kind of like stopped him from having like the worst fall, because due to the fact that he doesn't have powers like Peter does, and the armor is protective but not that protective. Speaking of the fact that he 3D printed it, and it just so happened to be freaking bulletproof somehow. I don't know, but and also protective and not breakable. But he kind of landed in like a superhero type of landing, and he ran over to Natasha, and he was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And she was like, "Lance, is that you?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's me." And she was like, "Why didn't you save me?" He was like, "I'm sorry, I couldn't. I'm sorry, I wasn't there." And then, like, he sees Clint walk up to him, and he tries to knock him. He tries to knock him down. Tries to kind of punch him, but then right before Clint turns into Mysterio, and then Fishbowl Head over here, freaking, kind of repels his punch, hurts Lance's hand, and then knocks him down, makes him fall through the ice, but technically it was just an illusion. Then they both wake up, and Nick Fury, he's shot by Nick Fury, who is still screwing with Peter, and turns back into Mysterio, and they both get hit by the train. Peter was able to make it to a seat, but not Lance. No, this man was on the verge of dying, and he's kind of like tumbles and falls into the floor. And Peter's kind of like, Lance, no, get up. And Lance just doesn't answer. And then he's kind of like, when they wake up when they get at that field and everything, and Happy comes to pick him up, he's kind of like holding on to Lance, who's still on the verge of life and death. And then when he gets on the plane and Happy's kind of patching Peter up, Lance is just sitting in that seat looking like a freaking zombie. And then, like, um, right after Peter gets done venting to Happy, and Happy's like, "You'll never be the new Iron Man, but you could basically what he said is you can be better than him." And, uh, like, Lance, there's like a urgent scene kind of where Lance is like, he dies for like 10 seconds, and then Happy uses defibrillators and brings him back. But thing is that he was so close to dying. We probably wouldn't have. Well, we don't have Metal Spider right now. But anyway, um, well, there's a they start making the new suit and everything. And Peter says, "Pull up everything you have on Spider-Man and Metal Spider," and I have like all the different designs. And if you pause the scene, you can see Metal Spider's, like, the way Metal Spider's armor looked in the Raimi trilogy, the Amazing trilogy, and duology, my bad. And then you can see the Aaron Aikman suit, which was also his Spider Avenger suit. And they like Lance's suit has always been white and not white and orange, but orange and blue is what I said, I think. Yeah, orange and blue. I think that's what I said. I'm not sure. Say in the comment section what I said, because I'm kind of tired right now, and this is kind of getting to me, because this video is already 32 minutes long. So yeah, he continues to just kind of like make his suit and everything, and when he's done, he kind of just he he makes his suit white, gold, and black. And like I say again, imagine this the Age of Ultron Iron Man design, and that's just his design. And thing is, here's the thing. You know how the old Iron Man suits and basically the War Machine suit still makes that war sound whenever he moves the joints? Yeah, exactly. Lance's suit doesn't make that. Like, he makes like a clack 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 sound, like a, hang on. That's the sound it makes. That's like, if he makes his fist into like a if he makes his hand into like a fist, that's the sound it makes. It doesn't really make like a war sound. It makes like a quiet kind of clackish sound. And he makes the suit, and then they go fight Mysterio for the final battle. And when Peter comes down, when he jumps off of that clock tower thing or whatever you want to call it, Lance does too. The Web Saber save him, of course, because it's too high of a drop. And he kind of lands behind, like, a few feet behind Peter, and like he's also visible in the scene where Peter does the superhero landing. And when Peter beats what's his name to basically like a bloody, almost dead pulp, when instead of it being Lance that grabs Peter, yeah, like instead of when yeah, it's Lance who grabs Mysterio instead of Peter grabbing Mysterio, and like Peter's like, you can't trick us anymore, and then Peter takes the glasses, and don't ask me like the reason why he knew Peter had spider sense. That's how he knew he was fading away before it really started happening, and that's how he knew Mysterio was right beside him. But I think Lance has some sort of hypersensitive sensor that's in his suit, so he picks up literally anything. I don't know where he got the technology from, but of course it was probably Iron Man because remember in Civil War he took away his suit because he used some of its tech, and that's probably it. And yeah, then after that, he like they take the suit and then return back to New York, and when Aunt May and Happy are kind of start that relationship, and Peter's kind of there, kind of watching it happen. Lance is like, you know what, Peter, I'll see you later. I'm going home. And then at the very end of the movie, when Peter and Lance's identity gets revealed, he comes back right before Mysterio says it. He's like, Peter, what's going on? And when Mysterio says the real Spider-Man name are Peter Parker and Lance Davidson, they're like, no, or like Peter's like, aw, F, and then Lance is like, and then the movie just ends. Lance also swears kind of he says the S word, but that's pretty much it. He doesn't have like that Aunt May Peter thing kind of. And yeah, then the movie just ends, and like I want Lance to be in Falcon and the Winter Soldier because like I feel like he'd be like really good with those characters, but it's probably just Sam and Bucky's show, whatever. But like I said, just share this to anyone. Share this with everyone you know if you do watch this. I urge you to watch it, like I said at the beginning of the video. I can't help but feel like I left some stuff out, but when I do make a part 2, which will probably either be tomorrow or Friday or probably this coming weekend, I'll include all that stuff. So, thanks for watching. I know this was a really, really long video, but please, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this was informative. I hope maybe I can finally get, like, the thing that's been in my head for 6 years out of my head and onto, like, into, like, other people's kind of, like, field of view. Like, whenever you see, like, a Marvel trailer or something like that, like a Spider-Man thing or something like that, think of Metal Spider being there. Think of Lance Davidson being there. Think of Colin Ford being there with Tom Holland, Peter Parker, Spider-Man. And I'll cover the rest of the stuff in, like I said, the part 2. Part 2 probably won't be as long. So like I said, IU 15, Infinite Ultima 15 out.